Welcome to Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. This is the podcast where real life choices meet biblical truth without the fluff. Tune in every second and fourth Monday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as Dr. Chinn shares faith-filled, practical insights to navigate everyday challenges. Get ready for real talk, real life, and real answers.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. I'm Audrey Bell Kearney. We got a great show for you today. Moms, dads, kids, and AI. Yes. That's a good one. And I know somebody's saying, yeah, I need to hear something about this. Our guest is a returning guest. Look, when we have great guests, we want to bring them back so they can share more. So Dr. Tarshia Stanley is going to be our guest today with Dr. Chinn. So without further ado, I will bring them to the stage.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Audrey. Thank you so much for
welcome.
that intro. Y'all, we all apologize for our late entry. We had some technical difficulty, but we got it together. Dr. Stanley, thank you for your time again. And today we are talking about mom, dad, the kids, and AI. And listen, I'm going to just give her, and Audrey's going to come at the end, right? Audrey's big into AI, so I'm sure she'll have some comments or something to say to help to ask Dr. Stanley. But without further ado, I'm so proud of, this is one of my daughters in the Lord, Dr. Tasha Stanley. And I love her. She has been consistent all the decades that I've known her. And currently she serves as the provost, right, professor right now at St. Olaf. And she's academic. She's a provost, vice president in academic affairs at St. Olaf. And she's a distinguished scholar and academic leader whose work intersects film, media studies, African-American speculative fiction, and all of that. But her current role before that, she spent almost 2 decades at Spelman College, where she was instrumental in building the film and visual cultural program. She was dean at St. Catherine University and later served as provost at Wagner College. So she's no stranger to academia. Let's just get that straight. And throughout these transitions, she's remained a vocal advocate for the liberal arts and emphasizing multi-directional thinking and as a tool to solve the complex 21st century problems, right? And to resist the flattening of diverse cultural narratives, which we know is particularly important in the wake of artificial intelligence. And I'm proud to say, too, that she has produced a wonderful second generational teacher. Her daughter is also a college professor. So without further ado, Dr. Stanley, thank you again and welcome to Keeping It Real with Dr. Chinn.
I'm just so happy to be with you in any capacity. So thank you.
Yeah, I see you, Valish. I'm glad you came on the show today. So we're going to get going. I've got a bunch of questions for you, right? So, big picture, understanding this whole shift with AI, what's the biggest ways that it is already changing how students learn today?
Well, the first iteration of AI has been free. So, students are able to go online and, chat GPT, Gemini, a bunch of things that are free. And of course, we know there's nothing free. So it's sort of been this test subject. So students can get in, anybody can get in and kind of, co-pilot, in Microsoft, all of that. So people have been able to get in and experiment with with artificial intelligence and really kind of get their feet wet, get used to it, get friendly with it, get to know it a little bit, really without any sort of background knowledge, without any context. So they really have entered in. I think many people have entered into a relationship with artificial intelligence, a little bit treating it like Google, treating it like sort of Google things. And so I think that's the first thing is that, and what we can look forward to in the future is that access is not going to be so easy. It's going to, come with a price tag a little bit later on. I think the other thing is that it is very personal. So particularly for students, their access to AI it can personalize education. We're going to see lots of adaptive tutoring. I just returned from a conference where there were a number of developers and vendors who were talking about the ways in which school systems could start to purchase AI tutors. And so those tutorial programs, those AI tools are going to be able to customize education to a particular student. And so it's going to be very personal. It's going to be, there's, rapid input. So almost instantaneous feedback for whatever you do. The speed at which it talks to you is just incredible. So those are the ways I think that we can see just immediate change in the way that we interact with AI tools. So personalization, real-time feedback, and it's adaptive.
Wow. So many parents feel overwhelmed, right, by the pace of technology. So, and I think about this because I remember my husband and I used to watch this show called Personal Interest over 20 years ago, right, where they were talking about AI. So what's the first thing that parents should understand about AI's role in education?
I think the first thing is that it's there already, and that we have all been using artificial intelligence for a really long time. There's nothing really new about it. Like you say that, we've been doing this. If you've been using GPS and you've been talking to Siri, you've been using artificial intelligence for a really long time. And so it is not new. What is new is the speed at which it is developing. And so I think that all parents really need to take some time to familiarize themselves and get some kind of context and background history. And I know that everybody feels overwhelmed with the speed, but particularly for parents, I think they need to talk to their teachers and, sort of talk to, like superintendents and school systems and really try to understand how AI is being used in their school systems and with their children. So have conversations and be involved in that. Don't wait for people to tell you. If that's not being communicated to you and you don't have a chance to ask questions, really invite yourself into those conversations.
Invite yourself into those conversations because they're not going to, and the other thing too is not everything artificial intelligence produces is accurate too, right? Either.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because artificial intelligence, what's funny about it is, the other part of my work is speculative fiction or science fiction. And, science fiction has been dealing with the effects of artificial intelligence for 100 years. And the thing is that what people are always nervous and afraid about artificial intelligence is that it can only be as good as human beings. And so, it is going to make mistakes. It does what its programmers call hallucinate. It makes up things. It wants to be right. And if it doesn't know the answer, sometimes it will just pretend it does. And it's just doing what its makers do, right? And so we have to also understand that it is not infallible. And that is why you cannot treat artificial intelligence as if it is always correct. You have to know what you're doing with it when you engage it.
Know what you're doing with it before you engage it. So then what signs should parents look for to know whether their child's school is using it responsibly and effectively?
They should know the curriculum. They should say how is AI being used in the curriculum. That every school system that's using it should be sending home it telling parents how they're using it. They should already have some sort of notification about digital technology, whether students are using iPads or computers or what they're doing in the school system. There should already be some understanding of digital technology. And now there should be an understanding of how they are moving forward with artificial intelligence, if indeed they are. Some teachers will be doing that on their own in classrooms. Some will be doing it on the whole in schools, and some school systems will be doing that. And so parents really should be asking, how are you using this? What are you doing? I want to get involved with this. Is there research that needs to be done? Do you need a sounding board? Do you want to ask questions? Can I go with you to a meeting? Can we have a town hall? Everybody needs to be involved because this is the one time that everybody is new on the ground to this. I say, in my own work, students, faculty, staff, administrators, everybody's new. So we all get to learn this together. So this is the one time we all are at the same level. And so let us do this together. Let us go forward together.
Mhm, mhm. You know, I love that we're having this conversation, because you actually answered the other question I have, that what are some simple ways parents can educate themselves? Like, just insert yourself, go ask questions, have the meetings with the teachers, have the meetings with the assistant principals and whoever you need to have the meetings with. But so what are the most common misconception that parents have about AI? Like, what's a common misconception?
I think people think AI is Google. I think they think it's just, sort of like, I'll just go on and ask it a question,
Mhm.
that it's just a search engine. But artificial intelligence is more than a search engine. It's a generative tool. It is waiting for you to ask a prompt, yes, but it is gathering information at a speed that, heretofore we just didn't understand. It is
Mhm.
talking to computer systems. And not only that, whatever you are asking it, it is learning from what you are asking it. So it is taking whatever information you put out there, whatever you're asking it, it is now taking that information. That information becomes a part of that computer system. So you
Wow.
also have to be very careful what kind of information you feed it when you're asking questions, because now, like, if you put personal information in, that
Mhm.
personal information becomes a part of that system. And now when it goes, somebody else asks a question, it's going to use your personal information to answer that question as well. And so, that's the difference. It is generating information and knowledge as it answers your question and everybody else's question. So it's no longer is any of your information proprietary. So you have to really think about what you're doing when you ask it a question, when you give it a prompt. So, and there's a difference between generative AI and agentic AI. And so that's why, people will really have to start to do some reading.
Mhm.
Um, you're going to have to sort of, ask questions, and not just, sort of stop with the school system. Go to your librarian and ask your public librarian, what kinds of town halls can we have? You know,
Mhm.
you are, whatever your faith-based practice is, go there and say, what kinds of meetings can we have? Can we put something together so that we're bringing in people who know more than we do, who are the current experts, and let's talk about this, and let's think about it, and let's figure out how we can get more knowledge.
So you see, Catherine Brown's asking, beyond hallucinating incorrect and potentially dangerous information, what are other dangers of AI?
Well, there are lots of challenges and dangers to AI, particularly when we get on global scales. And
Mhm.
so, the each computer is talking to other computers, and we know that the versions of AI that are released to the general public are nothing like the versions that the programmers and large corporations have.
I'd imagine. Mhm.
So, just a few weeks ago in the New York Times, Anthropic, who are the makers of Claude, talked about how some of their more powerful programs have the ability to find weaknesses in almost any program.
Mhm.
And because it had reached that point, they felt like the right thing to do was to go to vulnerable programs in the federal government, in banking industries, in companies like Apple, and say, we have a program that can crack, that can find any weakness in your secure programs. So we're going to
Mhm.
give it to you for 90 days and see if you can find all of your weaknesses and fix them before another program out there grows to the capacity that ours has
Mhm.
and exploits your weaknesses. So you can imagine what that looks like with the power grid. So you can imagine what that looks like, with systems, hospital systems, or even defense systems.
Yes. Yes.
So, you know, there are lots of challenges. I don't want to, you know, underestimate what when we think about what the dangers are. But the more connected our systems are, the more dependent that our systems are on, artificial intelligence and AI tools, then
Mhm.
the more vulnerable they are.
So Joyce, welcome, Joyce, my cousin in Virginia. Thank you so much. She supports the show regularly, and I'm so grateful. Isn't AI basically moving us towards what the programmer has suggested, what the answer should be? It's scary if the programmer is going against our personal values, you say.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think that it's not one programmer, right? And it's not just that programmer, because that computer is reading every piece of information available to it on the internet. It's reading history, it's reading, social media, it's reading
Yeah.
newspapers, it's reading library books, it's reading everything. And so now it is trying to then take all of that information and make a decision about it. That's what the agentic AI does. And so it is the combination of many programmers, but also the combination of every comment on a particular topic on Facebook.
Mm,
So it is humanity that's helping it make that decision.
mm,
And
mm.
so it's I mean, you can take your position on what you think humanity is telling it to do.
Right, right. So then that leads me to ask. So we're talking about, because the topic is mom, dad, the children, and AI. But so when I say children, I want us to also think about our college age children. They're in school now. So what skills will matter most for the college age students and those entering into college, right? And AI enhanced workforce. What skills will they need?
Those skills that are very simple and basic, they will need to know how to think. They will need to know how to read and write, and they will need to know how to be creative. They will need emotional intelligence. And so those very basic things that they learn without AI are the
Mhm,
things that they're going to need to be able to work with AI. And
mhm,
so it's really important that those basic skills not be subsumed by artificial intelligence, particularly early on. So I myself am very concerned about the ways in which young people, as an English professor, at the heart of what I do is to teach people, how to communicate clearly and to think. And
mhm,
so if you've never learned that, and I always use the example of, a 2-year-old driving a car, like, if my ultimate goal is for you to learn how to drive a car, I can't put you in that car at 2.
mhm,
I can't hand you the iPad at 2.
mhm.
I,
Oh,
I
but they do?
I first have to hand you some blocks, and I've got to, get you to talk, and I've got to get you to crawl and walk and do those kinds of things, so that by the time you get to that other technology, you know how to use it, and you know when not to use it. And you
Mhm.
know that it is a partner. It does not think for you. And
Say
that is,
that again.
it does not think for you. And you should not allow it to think for you. But the problem becomes when those basic skills are not in that young person, so it does not know. You are asking it to do something for you that is missing in you. You never had that skill. And so when you ask it to do that, you have missed out on learning how to do that thing for yourself. And
Mhm,
so, like I used to tell my students all the time, I can break a rule when I'm writing because I know what it is.
mhm,
You can't. You
mhm.
don't even know what the rule is, so you don't
Mm.
know how to break it. There,
Yes.
there are times when you can break it. There are 3 times you can break that rule. You don't know what they are.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
you can never break it until
mhm,
you learn what they are. And
mhm.
sometimes we're putting people, young people, in a place of using technology when they haven't learned how to think yet in a way that they can partner with the technology rather than have the technology think for them.
So I've watched children at all ages. I've watched children use their parents' phones and tablets, and they can move and create and push buttons, and but there's one little boy that I know. He gets in his head and say, you know what, I wanted to do this, and this, and he can imagine what he wants it to do, but he's still, pushing the buttons, and it'll do this, and I can make it do that, and I can make it do that. And so he's thinking. But you use the word humanity um, earlier, and that's the thing. So this is what scares me also about that is parents who don't teach their children critical thinking. When you make all your decisions for your child and you don't make them think through things for themselves, and we don't teach them empathy, and we don't give them things so that they can be creative, it's not only making them physically lazy, but their brains, to
Mhm.
me, don't think, will not function, will not grow, right, will not be used. And to me, that's dangerous to not cause somebody to think. My grandbaby is 20 something years old. This is true. When she was a very, very little girl, she would run and ask me, Grandma, da, 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 da. And I told her very early, I need you to use your brain. I used to say to her, you have a brain, I want you to use it. So Tasha, what she started, Dr. Stanley, was she would come run to ask me a question. And she said, oh, nope, got to go back. I'm going to use my brain.
Mm-hmm.
I taught her that early. So that whole thinking thing, it may sound strange, but it's vastly important. So how can parents help their children, no matter what grade or what age they are, build strengths that AI can't complain, that they can't replace? Like the empathy and the...
Yeah, I think, just start thinking about the importance of problem solving and having conversations with your young people about the fact that they need to know how to solve problems and how to meet challenges and how to think dimensionally, not just in one dimension, not just one way. And that those kinds of thought processes begin with reading, and they begin with writing, they begin with, having some quiet time to just think. You can't always have other people's thoughts in your head. You have to have some silence so that you can figure out what your own thoughts are. You have to ask questions. You can't just assume that every piece of information coming at you is that information. I always say I have to do a lot of sorting through stories that people tell me. And I always say there are three sides to every story. I have to figure out what is that middle ground, especially when I have, opposing sides who want different things, and I have to bring them into a place of agreement or compromise. I have to figure out, okay, well, you saw it this way and you saw it that way. And now where's the middle part? So I have to ask a lot of questions and try to get to what the resolution looks like. I can't assume that it is one way. It is one way for that person. It is one way for the other person. So I have to ask a lot of questions. And so, start thinking about, how do I ask questions? When my own daughter was little, I used to think, because, I had a particularly, challenging childhood, so I had a lot of problems to solve. And at one point, because I'm a teacher, I kept thinking, she's not solving as many problems as I had to solve. So I started making up some to give to her. I would think, okay, let me figure out, this is a problem that you need to solve. Go solve it. So I think we have to let our young people know life is not easy all the time. There will be challenges, and you should get good at solving them. And so let's sit down and think about how artificial intelligence now is a challenge for all of us. This is in our history. We have come to a place, oftentimes in history, humanity comes to places where we have these unique challenges. The Industrial Revolution, here is a unique challenge. So let us sit down now and think about, as a family, how we're going to meet this challenge. And so one of the ways is we're going to develop that critical and creative thinking that's going to allow you to be able to use AI as a tool and as a co-pilot, and not be afraid that it's going to take something from you or take your job. You're going to use it as a tool. It's not going to use you. And so let us think about how we're going to make that happen.
This is awesome. And I'm very glad we're having this conversation. I'm praying that people will go back and listen to this podcast, because, another question that I wanted to ask you was about healthy habits that families can adopt. Now, this is a faith-based show. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, dead, buried, and resurrected. I am a believer. And so I would say a healthy habit is to pray. Ask the Holy Spirit, how do I use AI in this situation? How do I help my family develop healthy habits with this AI having come into our lives? Because we cannot avoid it. We can't run from it. It's been here before we even knew it was here, right? Let's be honest. When you got a mouse in your house, it's been there before the time you've seen it, right? So what should parents know about data privacy when their children use AI-powered apps and platforms and things on their phones and tablets?
Be very careful. Our children are so used to putting all of their information out in public because of social media. It's a habit for them. And they process things out in the open, it's just become a habit with social media because, as a society, we failed to put the brakes on that, and we
Right.
failed to put safeguards around them. And so they're very much used to putting all their information out into the public. They have to really think about that and be careful about that and begin to rethink that, particularly with the ability of artificial intelligence to, again, take all of your information and learn from it and use it in ways that we just don't even understand right now. So begin to think about what privacy is, and set rules and definitions for privacy in your home and in your family, and begin to think about why that's important, about the fact that they have lives where eventually they're going to get jobs or go to college or whatever it is they're going to do, and they're going to want to try to have maintained some of that privacy. And so sit down now and think about what would be that for our family. How can we maintain some of the privacy? How can we think about what we don't put online, social security numbers, birth dates, addresses, things like that. What kinds of things are we not going to put online, particularly if we're prompting AI to do certain things? What are we not going to do? Because we don't yet know what will become of that. Let's put some safeguards in place, and then let's sit down and think about, how we might practice and prompt AI some things that don't have high stakes for us. So let's ask it for some healthy recipes, and now let's practice with different types of AI. Let's ask ChatGPT to tell us about nutrition in broccoli, and then let's ask Claude, and then let's ask Gemini, and let us see if they give us all the same answer. And can we tell if there's something different about the way that these tools talk to us? Can we see that are they programmed differently? Are there things that we can determine? And then we always have to remember that all of these programs, all of these things were developed, and they were not developed with people of color in mind. So we always have to think about the ways in which these things are going to have a different impact on people who have been marginalized. And so begin to think about that if you are marginalized, if you occupy those spaces. So we want to think about all of those things, and again, sit down and create some parameters for the family, and it's a good way too to turn off some of the other voices in the social media, and really begin to develop some critical and creative thinking. Maybe if your child were going to create an AI, what would it do? How would it talk?
That's good.
Like make your own. Don't always depend on all of these things that are coming at you, and begin to think about, what if you were a computer programmer? What would you do? And so get them thinking and creating for themselves, because they're going to have to compete in a marketplace that is global. They don't live in Atlanta or Philadelphia or Los Angeles. They live in the world. And so they're going to be competing with people who go to school 6 days a week and half a day on Sunday if they can get there. And so they have to start thinking about, what does that look like? How are you going to do that? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, everybody wanted to be a computer programmer. You couldn't get enough seats in a computer science class. We know now that those entry-level computer science jobs, AI tools can do that.
Yeah.
So now we have to think about, what's the next level of computer science job? And we have to think about, how do we get those college students ready for that level? So things are moving so quickly. It's not about the name of whatever you are going to major in necessarily. It is always going to be about how you can think and what you can do, and how you can make yourself valuable in a marketplace. Yes, it's always going to be about the skill sets that you have, but can you teach yourself how to think on the next level? Can you teach yourself to gather a set of tools on the next level? Can you think about what's coming in the next 3 to 5 years? Can you think ahead? Can you teach yourself that? Can you figure out where to go get the information? Can you figure out what questions to ask? That is what's going to set you apart.
So I'm glad you're coming back for the next show because I think you're segueing almost into that for the next podcast. But this is another concern that I have. While we're sticking to the subject where we are, this is another concern. So there's this commercial about, I think it's a plumber or something, where he talks about, yeah, AI can turn on the lights and AI can help my daughter do her homework, but can AI fix your plumbing issue? And so there's an expression that he has when he's looking at his daughter saying, yeah, and AI can help my daughter do her homework. How do we get parents to understand and students, people who can think for themselves, that AI, how to maintain ethics, right? How do we maintain and get our children to understand that we must use it ethically? You know, in when it comes to homework and research and creative projects, you know, the AI, how do we get them to use it ethically? Like, be honest.
Well, I think first of all, there has to be just a general, understanding of what it means to be honest and to be an ethical person. Because if you're an ethical person, then you're going to translate that to artificial intelligence. But the other thing is, if you're asking AI to do your work for you, at some point that's going to catch up with you, right? You can, if you are an athlete and you send somebody else to the gym to do your workout for you, but you show up at the race,
come on,
you're never going to win. And pretty soon you will not be an athlete. So you can ask AI to do your work for you, but one day you're going to show up at work and they're going to ask you to do something. And you're not going to know how to do it. And you will not be able to ask AI. And someone will be staring in your face, asking you a question, asking you to process something, asking you to think of something, asking you to deliver, and you will not know how to do it. So why in the world would you waste the time that you are supposed to be practicing, that you are supposed to be developing a skill, that you are supposed to be learning how to do something? Why would you take a shortcut and turn it over to an AI tool and waste your time only to end up in a place where you're going to say, I wish I had, only I had, and you're going to have missed out and it will be too late. Why would you do that? It does not make sense. That short-term gain is going to cost you everything in the end. So it is about being ethical. It is about being honest. That will always get you where you need to be. But it also makes no sense to have this thing do your homework for you so that you can end up not knowing how to be or who to be or how to finish a sentence.
Yeah, you got a degree in architecture, but you can't build a block with Legos. You can't build a bridge with Legos. Yeah, it catches up. So another concern, because I have great nieces and nephews who are young, like young children. So what questions can parents ask to make sure that the teachers and the system are using AI age appropriately?
That very question, how are you using artificial intelligence in this classroom? How do I know that it is age appropriate? What safeguards do you have?
Safeguards.
How is it accredited? Who is accrediting your use of AI? Can you show it to me? Can I sit down and you take me through a lesson?
Go in and ask the question. Parents, get involved, not just on the field, not just on the sidelines for the cheerleaders and on the fields for the soccer and baseball and football, but this educational piece is more important than being on the field cheering them on. Get in those schools, ask the questions, ask them to show you what they are teaching, and don't be afraid. If you're not tech savvy, still don't be afraid. I'm a firm believer. If you talk to God before you go into a place, he will give you the questions. He will let you know there's this thing called discernment, right? There's this thing called perception where the Holy Spirit will let you know, I need to ask another question. And or if you're not satisfied, Dr. Stanley, what would you suggest they do?
Keep going back. And then you can also always ask for somebody to advocate on your part. So when you are in the school system and you're talk to the teacher or the principal, and you've gone all the way to the superintendent, you also have your elected officials, so you can also ask them as well. And don't forget that there is power in numbers. So you can't be the only parent who's concerned. So you can go to your parent teacher association. You can leverage those numbers. You can get together. If your child is in the sports arena, ask the other sports parents, can we go together and talk with the school system about this? Your church members who are in the same school system or even not in the same school system, can we go and talk to our representatives about how this is happening? This is the whole reason you pay taxes, and we pay a lot of them. So let's get them to working for us. And so really say, hey, we really need to see what this looks like. And school boards have a lot of money. And right now we're looking at charter school systems where the tax money is being taken out and sent to charter schools. And sometimes there's not as much assessment going on as there needs to be, or parents aren't aware of what that is. And so you have to pay attention and you have to get involved, and it's going to cost you something.
Mm-hmm. So I want to ask you two last questions. Two. If you could tell every parent one thing about AI and their child's future, what would that one thing be?
Please have a conversation with your child about artificial intelligence and learn together about what it is. Don't be afraid. Just get in there and figure out how you're going to think and talk about this together and hone their skills, their thinking and their communication skills, their creative and critical problem solving skills.
Yeah.
Do that together.
Do it together. Audrey, as you come back on, I'm going to ask Dr. Stanley this last question. What gives you hope about this next generation growing up in this AI-powered world that we live in?
I think they're going to be even more discerning, and I hope what this does is it helps them reflect even more on who they are as thinking, empathetic, creative beings, and that they turn even more to those skill sets. There is nothing wrong with the tools of artificial intelligence. What is wrong is when we let them control us and get out of control, and when we use them to hurt one another. That's what's wrong. And when we use them to destroy the planet, because they also have environmental consequences. And so I think that this next generation, because we also have a set of young people who are refusing to use AI, and I also think that won't get us anywhere either. So there's a way in which you need to take that sensibility and be the people at the table helping to course correct people who are out of control. So I have great hope that these passionate, incredible feeling young people will take all of that and course correct us.
Beautiful. I love it. Keep a thought for the last word. Audrey, I don't know what you're going to have to say, but Doc, I'm going to give you the last word after Audrey gives us her input today.
I don't know what to say. This is my topic. One thing I will say, though, I will comment on for the parents and the children to learn together. And because there's so many things I could say, just like Dr. Stanley. The parents and the kids learn together. And one of the great things about one of the tools, and they can go and learn together with the kids, is Gemini Notebook LM. Gemini Notebook LM is a great tool for parents and the kids to sit down to learn together, because it allows you to create courses for your kids in real time, go over the courses with the kid, create the reports with the kid. It is a great thing. And the last thing I'm going to say is, I feel like AI is a great equalizer for a lot of us, and I think that a lot of people still don't take it very seriously. I wrote a whole book on it. It's called The AI Rebuilding the Middle Class, because this is a time for people to take it seriously. We can't fight the big dogs, right? They got all the money, so we need to learn how to use those tools. So, Dr. Stanley, I got a notebook full of stuff, so that's a whole nother conversation. But keep doing what you're doing. I'm gonna keep doing what I'm doing in this space, and keep trying to empower people. Yeah.
Yes. I love the synergy. and the perspectives and the way you all use and talk about AI and
Yeah.
the things that I know you've done for young people, even your granddaughter through through AI, Audrey. But I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, well. So, Dr. Stanley, if you will, if you have one last encouraging word for us, bring it on, if you will, one last word.
I think that while this sometimes seems so overwhelming, I always believe, and I always come back to this: if you couldn't handle this, you wouldn't be on the planet at this time. So there is work for you to do, and let's do it. Let's go to work.
Yeah, I've heard Audrey say that a lot. It is for this time. I love you too. I love it, love it, love it, love it. And this is another reason why I love it. Even so, I've seen this new Black Girl vitamin commercial where she said, there's no one size fits all, but we've got something by us, made for us. And this is why I love seeing two women, right, of color, so astutely aware of AI and how they are helping the community. Get involved, get in these places, use the tools, get together with your children, right, and learn what we can do to help make this a better place. I love you all, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode. I'm grateful. Thank you, Audrey. Take us out,
Thank
sis.
you, Dr. Chinn. Listen, guys, this is a really important episode. Dr. Stanley shared some really great information. Go back, listen to it again, and share it with two people, not one, two, because it's really important. I know that a lot of people are thinking, oh, it'll never happen to me. I'm safe. You're not. You're not safe, and it will happen to you. So and I'm not saying it to scare you, but it will happen. So don't let it happen to you. And you do that by listening again, sharing this this podcast episode, subscribing to the show, making sure that you follow Dr. Chinn and all that she's doing, follow Dr. Stanley with all that she's doing, and get your family in a position so that they know how to move, because things are going to happen. That's another show. Things are going to happen. You need to be prepared. So thank you again for listening. There's a QR code in the upper left-hand corner. Scan that code so that way you know you stay in the know. You won't miss a thing. We'll be back in 2 weeks, same place, same time. So you guys stay safe out there. And until next time, make it a great day. Bye, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Chinn. Dr. Stanley.
I love you, Audrey. Love you, Dr.
Love you
Stanley.
too. Y'all have a great day.
You've been listening to Keeping It Real with Dr. Linda Chinn. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the like button and share it with a friend. Be sure to support the show by going to lindachinnministries.com. Subscribe to the show so you never miss an episode, and tune in again in 2 weeks at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, keep the faith and keep it real.